I recently came across an interesting discussion. Someone mentioned that their company is developing their own CRM system. I thought the times were long gone when a company could afford a completely built from the ground up CRM system, and I thought it didn't make any sense. But is that the case? Maybe I'm wrong and this is something everyone should be doing starting tomorrow? Welcome to my channel. My name is Jeff Tiley and I'm full-time consultant and technology evangelist. In this video, I will give you a context on why custom CRM systems are developed and why, for some companies, that may be a very feasible option. Dive into arguments supporting development of a custom CRM system, and finally, I'll share my perspective on whether I think it makes any sense in 2025 or not. Make sure to subscribe to my channel to not miss my next videos and hit like to this video if you like what I'm doing. But before we dive into today's topic, a quick shout out to the sponsor of today's video, Monthly, my Salesforce consulting company. At Monthly, we specialize in helping businesses get most out of Salesforce. Whether you're struggling to organize your accounts, manage your leads, or configure workflows, we simplify CRM so you can focus on what matters most: growing your business. We are experts at implementing Salesforce's powerful out-of-the-box features, fine-tuning complex account hierarchies, and ensuring your CRM works seamlessly for your team. No need for custom builds, Salesforce already does it all. If you want guidance, advice, or even just a partner who speaks your language, check out the link in the description below. Let's make Salesforce work for you. Now, let's jump back to the video. Let me first start with a little bit of context. In the beginning of digital era, there were only a few products available on the market to support companies with their efforts to engage with their clients. Most of those solutions were closed code, low customizability, on-premise solutions. On-premise meant that you would purchase a box with CDs, put them into your large corporate server, and install. Then you would grant access to that software through connecting to the server via a client computer. It sounded a bit complicated. So you had a computer and you would connect to your company's server from that computer. No third-party apps, everything lived inside one organization. To put it mildly, that approach was not very flexible. Companies had to manually update the software, and every update was always a pain. It would bring a lot of bugs, glitches, delays in work, and sometimes even result in the loss of data. A lot of companies were not happy with paying for software that could cause more harm than good, so they started to look for alternatives. Now, put yourself in the shoes of a manager at the end of 90s, beginning of 2000s. The IT industry is at its infancy. You could hire developers in-house relatively inexpensively, and for a little premium, they could outperform any ready-made software on the market. That sounds like a solid strategy, and a lot of companies actually went that path and built internal development teams. But technology evolved. The corporate software market was growing very rapidly. In the early 2000s, Salesforce offered a completely new model to buy software. Instead of a fixed one-time payment for software that you would later own and could theoretically use for decades, you could now pay a small monthly fee, get going, and rent software from the vendor. No servers, no maintenance, no complex and painful updates. In theory, companies that purchased software once could use the product for decades, and that was an argument made by these old-school dinosaurs selling the software. However, in reality, companies needed a more fast-paced solution, and so-called software-as-a-service companies, where you pay a monthly subscription, slowly replaced on-premise solutions. But then, the table started to turn around again. When software companies realized they had taken most of the market, they started to capitalize on their dominant position and began to raise prices. Worse than that, software solutions that offered out-of-the-box functionality still had to be heavily customized to be usable for companies who already paid for a subscription. And a lot of companies started to think about going custom and developing their own software solution on their own. Again, but the biggest question remains open. Is it worth it in 2025? When I was preparing this video, I was thinking, what are the arguments for custom CRM? I did a small research and listed most popular ones. I will read. You own the system and do not pay a subscription. Well, fair enough. You have bigger flexibility, you can go in any direction and build something unique. Also fair, couldn't argue with that. You have better data privacy. Given you implement the best security practices, this could be also true. You own proprietary technology that is your company's intellectual asset. Well, I wouldn't agree with that, but it could be important for some investors. And finally, you are independent from vendors. You will not be left behind if a vendor goes south. Well, true, and I could actually relate to this point. I've seen many software companies go bankrupt, leaving their customers with lost data and wasted investments in the platform. So what do we got? Creating custom solution is seemingly cheaper, as you don't pay a subscription, owned by you, which makes you very flexible, and free from vendor dependency. Solid foundation, isn't it? I thought it would be hard to beat those logical arguments since I do agree with a lot of them, but I needed to build my opinion on this topic. Intuitively, I felt like creating a custom CRM doesn't make any sense. But every time I sat down and to explain why I think it doesn't make sense, I found myself providing very vague arguments that only someone with deep industry knowledge can understand. I needed something simple. I needed something that my 80-year-old son would understand, so I thought it should be a drawing. Another 2 days of procrastination led me to draw a hypothetical scale where I would compare two companies. Now, imagine a timeline which we'll call the feature scale. The scale starts at 0, representing no CRM at all, not a single line of code. The scale is infinite, as theoretically you could improve your CRM indefinitely. I will draw two companies on the same scale and compare them. That way, it will be evident how these companies' approaches compare. So a company A decided to build their own custom CRM, and company B decided to go with ready-made CRM from a major vendor that is not likely to disappear in the next 10 years. The farther we go on the scale, the more robust, feature-rich, and usable the CRM system becomes. By the way, this comparison is not only applicable to CRM, it works with most software nowadays. Now, day one, starting the journey. Now, let's draw a scale. Day one, company A begins the development process. They create a backlog of user stories, which is a fancy name for a list of features, then prioritize them and kickstart development from scratch. At this point, they are at 0 on the feature scale. Company B signs a contract with Cloud CRM from a major vendor. On day one, they already have access to its out-of-the-box features: accounts, contacts, leads, opportunities, and most importantly, user interface features like list views, record editing, screens, and so on. Let's put both companies on a scale. On day one, company B has tons of features. All they have to do is study what features the platform has and decide on the priority. Company A, on the other hand, not only has to decide what features they need, but also develop them, manage a team of developers, and ensure what they are building is sustainable. When I say sustainable, I mean they have to make important technical decisions that will not later create a block preventing them from building more features. I could compare this to the foundation of a building. If you plan to build a 2 or 3-story building, you will lay a foundation accordingly. You will not be able to build another 10 floors on top later. Surprisingly, this analogy is exactly how software works. If you fail in the planning stage, you will have to rebuild your product from the ground up later. Now let's take a look at the hypothetical day 2. Company A assembles a dream team: talented software engineers, quality assurance specialists, and UX experts. They start coding, building their CRM brick by brick. They set up a nice Scrum team, hire a product owner, Scrum master, and other people with fancy titles. Let's assume they do all that. Company B on the same day starts configuring Cloud CRM. Instead of coding, they customize workflows, fields, dashboards, and all using Cloud CRMs, click and configure features or tools. Now let's look at both companies on the scale. While company A has set up their team and kicked off their project, company B already has an out-of-the-box platform. On day 2, they can start monetizing on it by tracking their leads and implementing small processes to get familiar with the platform. Now let's fast forward to theoretical day 100. Company A releases its first beta version. They rolled it out on a small group of users, let's say 10 users for testing. They'll still have to develop their user interface, reporting tools, API interfaces, and many other features. But they can start testing. Company B has been using Cloud CRM for months. Their sales team is actively managing leads, closing opportunities, and generating insightful reports. Meanwhile, they decided to implement self-service portal for customers where they can access their invoices and technical documentation for whatever product they are selling. To their surprise, Cloud CRM already offers a tool for building custom portals using clicks and minimal custom code, enabling faster development. If we take a look at the feature scale, Company B has moved far beyond Company A. Why? Because they don't have to build the foundation. They can leverage the existing foundation of Cloud CRM. By foundation, I mean seemingly simple things like reports, record screens, and business processes that in Cloud CRM are configurable with clicks, not code. Remember, If you're building a custom solution, you will have to build everything: user management, user interfaces, security settings, API connectors. Even a data export feature will have to be built. If you want to build an email integration, for example, you will have to build it from scratch, test it, debug it, and do all that without external support. That will require resources. Something you can configure in Cloud CRM in days, well, maybe weeks, will take you months and easily years with your custom product. We could continue that scale and company A will be losing every time. The farther we go, the bigger the gap will become. But that's not the worst part. Remember I mentioned the importance of the foundation? As time goes, company A will inevitably accumulate so-called technical debt. Technical debt can be compared to our health. If we don't care about our body, we accumulate strain and health issues. At some point, we lose the ability to perform, and it costs us twice as much to compensate. Sometimes it's even impossible to compensate. Now, let's circle back to the company B, which is using third-party product used by millions of other companies. Cloud CRM products have huge teams behind them, doing what company A is trying to do on their own. The only difference is that Cloud CRM has resources to attract the best developers in the world, since they all want to work for something that is bigger and they all want to make a bigger impact. Now, let me ask you something. Who would you rather be? Company A, with a custom-built CRM, still in its early stages, requiring ongoing development and iterations? A company that is not dedicated CRM company trying to build its own proprietary product, wasting resources that could be used elsewhere, like marketing, sales, and refining their core product? Or Company B, leveraging a ready-made Cloud CRM already operating efficiently and rapidly scaling with advanced tools? I should admit that even Company B will inevitably make errors and take wrong paths that will cost them time and money. But the cost of their mistakes will be much smaller, since Cloud CRM will have some limitations that prevent the company from ruining it with wrongdoing. I understand that for a lot of managers, developing a custom solution seems like a better choice. It seems that they will spend less money and time, but in reality, it's just the opposite. I also understand that if a company decided to build its own solution in the beginning of digital era, it's tough to challenge the status quo inside the organization and decide to abandon something that has been developed for years with thousands, if not millions, invested. But that's my opinion on reality in 2025. Let me know in the comments down below what you think. And if you need advice, want to discuss your challenges, or just looking for a pair of understanding ears, find me on LinkedIn or contact me through the website form on my company website. Don't forget to subscribe, hit like to this video. See you next time. Peace.